Oh, yeah. Woohoo! You know what that sound means? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Addicts Anonymous. My name is Tom. I'm a fantasy sports addict. Tonight I am joined by my good buddy Andrew from Fantasy Aid. Andrew, the excited Cubs fan. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great.
Route 66, baby. Woo! All right, what's on the agenda? We are talking about the 2019 MLB postseason. And if you haven't been paying attention, it's been a hell of a year. I mean, I think there's been some surprises, some non-surprises, but let's just start real quick before we get into the whole bracket of the postseason. Game 162 this afternoon. Cubs, Cardinals, right?
Yep.
And why don't you just tell us in your own words? Tell us in your own words, Andrew. How was it? What was it?
Well,
Give us some flavor.
watching what is we need for the playoffs, you got Jack Flaherty. I mean, we all know his stats in the second half. He's been the best pitcher in baseball, better than anybody in the second half. Cardinals offense goes off, and it's been such an up and down year. Really low lows, really high highs, and it's nice to finally get here.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the Cardinals were doing well early, and then there was like a little bit of a dip, and then the rise, and now on the last day of the season, right? What
Yep.
happens? Clinch the division. Fuck you, Cubs. Fuck you,
Yes.
Brewers. You gotta love that. I mean, that's from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, as a Cardinal fan, I've been persecuted. We haven't seen the postseason since 2015.
Oh,
So,
only that long, huh? A whole 4 years, man. That's brutal. What were you doing with yourself this past 4 years?
I know, and actually, the Cardinals announcers had a stat today. Since 2011, the Cardinals have been out of postseason contention a total of 3 days.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. I mean, that's
It's a
actually a
long three
fairly
days.
interesting and significant. Yeah, those 3 days were like oh. It's a brutal 3 days, man. Oh man, but I mean, again, you gotta love it, clinching at home, and one of the other things that was nice, I guess, being the home team, watching the Cubs go home sad, saying
Oh, yeah.
goodbye to their manager. Obviously, they need a little bit of retool, a reboot. We won't crap on them too hard, even though I'm sure you're like doing the head dance,
I
and then
know.
then you're looking at the wild card picture, and you got the Brewers just like, good luck.
Yeah.
But so let's jump into it here. We gotta look at the whole thing. We gotta get to this monstrosity. This is the best playoff bracket I could find. Beg my pardons. This is courtesy of Yahoo. But this is a nice little bracket where you can see how all the playoff matchups stack out or stack up. Let's just start with American League because that's left to right. I don't know
Hmm.
many people that read right to left. So Tampa Bay and Oakland A's. This is a really exciting one game playoff matchup to me. Uh, I
Yes.
like both teams quite a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, this is the first year I've really followed the Rays intently because it's my first year in Florida. So, I've liked watching them this year.
and I, I, I don't think there's many fantasy players that don't love these teams just for like the players that come out of those organizations. Like if you're a fantasy manager, you love Tampa Bay and you love Oakland for those sorts of reasons. But they're just like dark horse underdogs that are really easy to root for. I mean, would you have a prediction as to which team is better?
I don't want to get, I mean, obviously I'm a little biased because I've watched Tampa more than Oakland this year, but I
Right.
do like Tampa. They're going to have Charlie Morton on the mound. Morton's had some good postseason experience. He won with the
That's
Astros in 2017.
yeah, and that's well again, if you're talking about a one game scenario, do or die, outside of maybe a Verlander or a Garrett Cole or a Max Scherzer. I mean, old man Charlie Morton's pretty good at limiting runs. You know what I'm saying? And he can pitch deep, so
Absolutely. And they, don't be fooled by the wild card thing. They had more wins than the Cardinals, did they have more, it was pretty close with the Braves, but they had more wins than the Cardinals. They had a lot of wins.
yeah, it's just a matter of again, look what division they're in. Okay, and granted, Boston's not what it has been. That'll rebound, but when you think about it, playing in that division, that's just ridiculous in its own right. So for me, I don't even want to predict it necessarily. I like the A's just because I like I don't know. I like the corner infield setup. I really do. I like the Mats, but such a strong argument could be made for each team. So I think really where we go with this is like what they run into, right, for the division series.
Yeah.
And that's the buzz saw. That's like okay. I mean, whoever goes against Houston, where you got Garrett Cole and Verlander. I mean, I don't care who pitches third in that rotation. It's they got the bullpen, they got the starting. I
Yeah,
mean that's a buzz saw.
yeah.
So for any of those wild card teams, either of those wild card teams to get past Houston, and of course the same thing can be said for, National League. But I mean that's going to be just an interesting matchup no matter what. I still say Houston moves past. What about you? You got Houston in the National League
Yeah, I
or
mean,
American League Division Series or
you
Championship
you
Series? Ugh.
you can't bet against them
Yeah,
when Greinke is their third best pitcher. You can't.
yeah. I mean, it's almost hard not to project them immediately for the World Series in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we got the next matchup I think we want to look at would be Twins Yankees. I think these two teams stack up really well, just like the wild card teams do. I think. I mean, I would feel like the Yankees were a little bit stronger if they had Domingo. Obviously, that domestic violence thing we were just talking about, before the show. That doesn't help, but if he is, fuck him, right? Hopefully Severino and Paxton are healthy. I would say that is a kid gloves, baby hands situation. So maybe the Twins have an advantage there.
Yeah,
But
I mean, but the Yankees bullpen is just so stuck. It's really going to depend on what Twins pitching shows up because they're going to hit home
yeah,
runs. Twins are going to hit home runs, but
so are the
are they going to be
Yankees,
able to
right?
pitch? Yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, I think this will come down to bullpen pitching. I mean, that matchup I think is entirely a bullpen. And obviously we could be wrong. We're addicts, not experts, right?
yeah,
But seriously, I think that matchup does come down to the bullpen. So I would be inclined to say that my American League Championship Series is something like Houston and New York, but that's house Vegas type stuff, right?
yeah. I mean, I'd say the same thing. I don't want it to be that, but
Well, yeah.
it has. You have to kind of pick them. They're the top dogs.
Well, and that's we'll just go with the obvious thing for that for now. We can talk about the nuances and shenanigans of baseball. Bronson's checking in. Hey, Bronny, how's it going, buddy? We're gonna give him a quarter square of a towel here. A little just tear a square for Bronny. Howdy, howdy. He's a Rays fan. So he says, "Oh no, 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 2020 vision. Rays are going all the way." Of course, like you said, you'd love to see that.
Yeah, I would.
Let's slide over here to the National League. Now this is a little less exciting wild card matchup to me. Um, honestly, I think the Nationals should pretty much get past the Brewers. However, right, this is a wild card game,
Yeah,
so
it's gonna happen.
and I honestly, if the Brewers somehow get past the Nationals, they don't stand a chance against the
No,
Dodgers.
no.
The Nationals though going against the Dodgers in that division series matchup though, that is to me where the Dodgers face their toughest opponent.
Right, because I mean, obviously Scherzer's going to take them out for the wild card game, but you got Strasburg and Corbin right after him.
Right. And so they're pitching 1-2-3 matchup pretty well against each other. And similar offense, I mean, somebody get a fire extinguisher for Rendon.
Yeah,
He is en fuego. But yeah, I think again, same as Houston. I do think whoever faces Houston has a better chance against Houston than whoever faces Dodgers overall. But Nationals could give them some trouble. They just match up pretty well against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are choke artists lately. Let's be honest.
mm,
And now let's move on. This is to me of the division series matchups. This is the one where I'm really intently watching. I'm very interested in this because I do like both of these teams. St. Louis and Atlanta. I mean that's good baseball. That's just
yeah,
good baseball. That's good National League baseball too. If you're a National League fan like the two of us are, I mean you're sitting there like licking your chops at this because it's just somehow win all the time anyways. Cardinals, and then the Braves, young, up and coming. I mean, of course, the Braves are another team. If you're playing fantasy baseball, you're just like, gotta love that team, right?
yeah. Do you
So,
know what the last postseason matchup between the Braves and the Cardinals was?
God, I don't know.
2012, Chipper Jones' last game, wild card game.
Oh,
That was with the
okay,
pop, the infield fly rule.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow, that's a way back machine right there. I mean, not that far, but 7 years, pretty long time
Yeah.
in my memory. My memory's like, what? But that's going to be a good series. I think that'll go full tilt. I don't see any kind of like blowouts or anything like that. And and then in this case, I don't know what the house odds in Vegas are like for National League Championship Series. Um, I do think probably just on paper, if I were to just guess, knowing what we know, I like St. Louis, Los Angeles for a National League championship. Don't kill me in Atlanta. I do again. It's not as easy to like. Oh, that's the house favorite. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What about you?
For me, I think the Braves have less questions than the Cardinals.
Yeah,
Both of them, their bullpens are not going to be an issue. They both have a really solid back end of the game. But I'm worried about after Flaherty. Mikolas has been up and down. Wainwright was insane in September
yeah,
until his last start.
yeah.
So I'm just, is that a blip in the radar? Is he going to pitch well? The back end of the rotation is going to have to show up for the Cardinals.
Well, and I do think for Wayno that was a blip in the radar. Like this is where Wayno has this is his bread and butter. This is where we've all come to know and love Adam Wainwright, right? I mean, think about how
Right.
many times we've seen the Cardinals in the postseason, in the World Series, even. Like, think about how much, like going back to the David Freese years, even. Like, I
Well,
mean,
he,
Wainwright.
he was back in '06. Wainwright pitched for us in '06 in the World
Yeah,
Series.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, didn't he close back then?
Yeah,
So, I mean, going all the way back, 13 years. Like, this is where Wainwright has earned his bread and butter, or he's been the bread and butter, whatever. It's hard for me not to have them in the championship for National League. I
Yeah,
don't
what
know.
I find interesting is is this postseason is a little bit different from the Cardinals' perspective, from previous things, because we were making the postseason every year, over and over and over, and unless
Right.
you were a rookie, you had postseason experience. But now you got guys that aren't rookies. Jack Flaherty, he's never pitched in the postseason. Paul DeYoung, well, yeah, he was, but Marcelo Zuna, he was with the Marlins.
Yeah.
He's never played in the postseason.
That's true. That's true. I would say, again, I think just maturity and a little bit of the veteran nature of the Cardinals team is why they would be favorites against the Braves. That's just my, you
Yeah,
know,
I mean they have the usual Yachty behind the plate. I mean he's a leader of the team. He's
yeah,
been there many times.
yeah. I mean, it's just guys that have been there, and that usually until they're absolutely done, that usually plays through. So we'll see. So I do think the National League is harder to forecast than the American League in this sense. Now let's just talk about some. If we were to forecast things the way we have here, obviously St. Louis theoretically would move past whomever they're playing. Um, if it's Yankees Houston for that National League championship, whew, that it's it's hard not to skew Houston's favor. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's hard not to go and say, yeah, Houston will take them in 7 games.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't see many of these series not going full max games. Just personally, I mean, because a lot of these teams will match up pretty evenly. I mean, we talk about a World Series as a fan, and people are gonna just absolutely rain shit on me for this. I'm calling a Yankees Cardinals World Series. And that's like, oh man, how it's like the Dallas Cowboys versus the San Antonio Spurs. I know that
as
analogy
long
may
as
not
the
make
Cardinals
sense,
aren't the
but
Cowboys in this situation.
yeah, it's just teams that are like, people hate because they've won a lot and they've been
Or
there and just
yeah, I mean that matchup would be the two teams that have won the most World Series in history.
literally the two winningest teams in baseball history. Absolutely. But how do you not forecast that? That's just my take. That's my perspective. What about you? I mean, you said you wanted Tampa Bay in the World Series, and everybody would be very excited about that, obviously.
Right. Yeah, I think I have to pick Houston
Okay,
for the World
Houston.
Series. Yeah.
Okay, and then who's coming out of the National League for you?
That's tough. I do think it'll be Cardinals Dodgers. And the fan brain in me says we beat the Dodgers in 2013, 2014, but obviously they aren't the same Dodgers that were then.
No, they just keep getting better.
But, maybe it's just from an outsider's perspective. I don't trust Dodgers bullpen. I don't trust
Yeah,
Kinley.
yeah. He's definitely been shaky. I mean, this has been his. I mean, what did I see the other day? He had like what his 300th career save, and I was like, wow, has Kenley Jansen been around that long? I was like,
Yeah,
what?
he's been around a long time.
Dang. Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely had a little bit of a rough year, and so that would make sense that uh, St. Louis gets past. So Houston, St. Louis is what you're calling.
Yeah.
Now, all right, fan aside, who's the World Series champion 2019?
Well, if Tommy Edman goes all David Freeze on them, the Cardinals will win. But I mean, you got to pick Houston.
Okay, you're going Houston. I'm going Yankees, and I know this is a very unpopular choice, but I'm going Yankees. Um,
I read something. If the Yankees don't win this year,
hmm.
I don't remember. I don't remember if it was the 30s, the 20s, or the 40s, somewhere around there. They won a World Series in every decade since then. This would they wouldn't have won
Okay.
from 2011, 10 to 2019.
Okay. So they'll get blocked out. They won't have won it. Wow. Wow. That is a fascinating statistic. Well, they better win now. I don't know. I mean, again, that's the beauty of baseball. Like, I don't think we need to explain the majesty and the beauty of baseball to anybody who's watching this video. Obviously, it's anyone's. This is the second season. It's anybody's game. First game starts Tuesday night, I believe. That is October 1st. And that is the Rays A's on that. That is a TBS game if you have TBS. And then, of course, the National League wild card game is on, I want to say ESPN.
Yeah.
That's Wednesday. And then action starts from there. So, I mean, buckle up, Buckaroo, because it's going to be, it's going to be good. You know, and I happen to know somebody who quit watching sports. I don't know why you would ever quit watching sports if you grew up on sports or loved sports. Like, who takes a hiatus from sports? Because that's all it's going to be. I know it's just going to be a hiatus. Why wouldn't you be watching? Like, if you watch no baseball, but you're still a baseball fan, baseball is the game you grew up loving, playing, and all that. You don't watch the postseason. I call bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
You know, just this year, it's in the NBA, the top spenders make it because they've got super teams. Your top two payrolls this year didn't make it. Red Sox, Cubs, not it.
Not at all. Not at all.
And then you got Athletics and the Rays who barely spent anything, and here they are.
Again, too. I mean, these are teams that are, because just the nature of which they're, managing talent and acquiring talent. I think it speaks a lot to the analytics side of the game. Money doesn't buy championships always. It can, but it doesn't always. I think, there's a lot of underlying factors in addition to spending money. Spending money is never a bad thing if you can, but it's not everything. So.
It's best if, like the Dodgers, you spend money, but you got guys coming up from the minors dominating too.
Well, you think about
the two.
Yeah, you think about what happened with the Dodgers farm team, and they still have depth. You think about this year, the guys they brought up. It's like, May and Lux, and just there's just even behind that, there's so much more, and you're just like, man, wouldn't that be nice to be rolling in that level of? First of all, you have cash to burn, and you have that kind of farm system. I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches. So, obviously, some of these teams aren't going anywhere for a while, but I'm buckled up. I'm ready. I got my my popcorn, my beverage. I'm all squared. I don't know. I mean, again, I can't wait. Like, it almost feels like Tuesday almost feels like far away. I mean, it's only a day and a half at the time of this recording, essentially, but which is really only 6 hours in micro managed time in real life, but micro time, as we call it, I think. But damn, I'm excited. I mean, we had our own fantasy baseball playoffs. I'm sure if you're watching this channel, you're watching because you have a fantasy baseball team. I hope your playoffs were good, but you got through that, and now it's like, all right, real playoffs. So it's just, as a fan, an embarrassment of riches as well. Right?
Yep.
Well, I congratulate you, sir, on your National League Central Division winning Cardinals. You gotta love that. I mean,
we'll try to bring Goldie a ring.
Yeah, Goldschmidt. Yeah, I don't even think about that as a Diamondbacks fan. I'm like, Goldie? Who? The 60th ranked player based on what is it? WRC plus, weighted runs created. I'm still having trouble with that stat. I got to figure out the calculation. My mathematical math skills ain't so good. But no, he's due. He should have a little shine in the postseason. I mean, when I think about it, the only shine in the postseason he got was all the way back, really, 2011. And we got edged out by a juiced up Brew Crew. So, yeah.
Ryan Braun.
Braun on the juice, and he even, again, you can't go back and undo division series, but man, I remember sitting there watching us get eliminated at a bar with a couple of kids I went to high school with, just sitting there like, what is happening right now? And it was Braun on the juice, man, just bogus. And that was Goldie was young and back then.
Yeah, wasn't that his rookie year? Was that 2011?
Yeah, I believe so. If not, it was first year. I mean, maybe not rookie year, second year. I can't remember exactly when now, but I mean, he was greenhorn back then. So yeah, but get him something. At least a National League championship, something where he can, hang his hat on that. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Again, if you want to check out some of our other videos, scroll through, subscribe, thumbs up. It's our buddy Andrew. I guess there we go. If you're watching this. There, I got it going the right direction. Andrew from Fantasy Aid at Fantasy Aid 1 on Twitter. Thank you for joining me, sir.
No problem.
And again, congratulations. I'll just wrap it up with the Fantasy Sports Serenity Prayer. And that goes as such. Fantasy gods, please grant me the serenity to set my ideal lineups, the courage to add drop aggressively, and the wisdom, as always, to make good trades. Amen. Our website's fantasysportsaddicts.com. Some guy dropped the ball on that, but it's still coming along. And you can hit me up on Twitter at letter F, letter S, the word double, letter A, FSAA. Again, Andrew at FantasyAid1. We thank you for taking the time. Thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment down below. We're always here for the discussion. So you guys have a good evening. Andrew, any last remarks, comments? Can I get
29 World Series Cardinals. We're going for 12.
Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah. Yankees win. I don't know. There we go. That's enough for us. You guys have a good one, and we'll catch you 2020. And shutting her down. Whee. It usually takes a